You come from a pretty famous polo family. Your dad was a professional horse trainer and horseman, and he played polo. And you had two brothers beside yourself.
That's correct.
One of
In
them,
fact, they had a full team.
a family team. Well, one of them, of course, was Billy Linfoot, who was a 9-goal player.
Right.
And then you had another brother who was a 4 or a 5.
Right. With Buddy Linfoot, yeah. My father, I believe, was. I know he got to 3. I can't remember whether he played more than that, but that was after I left home.
Interesting. And most of the shoeing you do is on polo ponies?
A lot of the shoeing is on polo ponies, and I do shoe some hunters and jumpers and a lot of saddle horses. I like to shoe older horses who have problems because the horse with good conformation usually doesn't have that many problems, and I do like the challenge of shoeing and trying to help an older horse.
Okay. Now, what do you do? What do we as polo players ask a horse to do that others don't? Others who use horses don't do. And what do you look for when the first time you see a horse, like you're going to be seeing my horses for the first time today? What do you look for?
Well, my theory when you're looking at a horse to shoe a horse is the last thing you look at is his feet, because the way he's built will pretty well determine his weaknesses in his body structure, will determine where he goes lame or his potential lameness is, and then you try to pick up any problems that the horse has when you first see the horse. Most of your lamenesses are pretty well directly related to conformation rather than a mechanical thing. Of course, you do have mechanical problems, quarter cracks and that sort of thing, but most of them are an arthritic type thing, which is basically wearing out of the joints.
Okay.
So first you look at the horse, then you look at the way the horse travels, and then you say, now what do you do with the horse? Which will determine the type of shoes you use and where do you ride. That would determine whether the horse needs pads or he doesn't need pads, and how much stress you put in, and then you always add 10% on top of that.
Okay.
But they're cheating a little on telling you what they do.
All right. Well, as you know, most of the playing fields around here are Bermuda grass.
Right.
And as you also know, it gets pretty dry here in the summer. This area where I keep these horses gets very dry and hard. So there may be some special considerations there that we ought to be thinking about.
Well, there is. On a Bermuda field, if it gets a little dry and everything, it gets slick. Some fields, say Pebble Beach, you don't really need caulks because it's so sandy and stays soft. So a good rim shoe is adequate front and back. I would not like to play up here on horses without heel caulks behind, which gives you a little bit more stability when you stop and you go to roll a horse back and make a fast turn. The fact that it's extremely dry here does give you a problem keeping moisture in the horse's feet. My feeling is that most polo fields are adequate. You injure very few horses with trauma on a polo field. More horses are injured, and it's more detrimental for the exercise of horses.
Okay.
You spend more time exercising the horses than you do playing.
Well, that makes sense.
And usually, where you exercise the horses, the conditions are not near as nice as they are on the polo field. So,
that's a good point.
Where you exercise your horse actually should be given a great deal of consideration on how you shoe a horse. If you have a horse that has a slightly flat foot or bruises readily and you're working under adverse conditions, ground is hard, ground is rocky, I would recommend putting pads on, particularly in this area where the ground is so hard.
Okay.
You reduce the possibility of injuring your horse, and it keeps the foot much more flexible because you lose less moisture into the ground.
Okay. Well, maybe in a few minutes you can show me some pads and kind of what they're used for. My horses are all made polo ponies. They're a little older. They've played for some better players than me, but as a beginner and somebody just learning the game, I've purchased some horses that are a little older and have kind of been through the game before. And maybe you can, as we look at those horses, you can make some observations about maybe some of their faults and some things on those horses.
Well, I think it's a good idea for beginning players to play with older horses because they usually give you a steadier run at the ball. They don't duck on you. They take a bump well, and you can concentrate on your hitting. But at the same token, I think they're like most professional athletes have been learning their trade. So you would be better off having an extra horse if you can do it and taking good care of the horse. And as soon as you feel the horse going slightly off, he's shortening up or a little off in there, just give him 10 days or a week and just pony him and let him down a little bit and treat whatever the injury may be and then come back. Don't wait until he's really lame, because then your recovery time is too long. But you can take in club polo, you could take a polo pony and just pony him and hand walk him and ease up 10 days, and you can come back and he won't lose that much conditioning. Not an older horse that has been conditioned for years and knows the game, because they do take their rest periods when they get a chance out in the field.
Okay.
As an older polo pony, I would expect to see things on him. My feeling of that is fair wear and tear.
Uh-huh. Okay. All right, well, let's go take a look at some of these horses and
Okay.